Welcome to Adaquity. This video is in continuation with our previous video on Euler's conjecture, where we have discussed the lives of the mathematicians involved in disproving the conjecture and learned about the use of Latin squares in it. So if you have missed our previous video, you can find the link to that video on the top of the screen or in the description down below. So here we begin our video by having a look at the various attempts made by the scientists after Euler propounded this result. One of the attempts was made by Gaston Tarry. He proved that mutually orthogonal Latin squares of order 6 do not exist by using the method called proof by exhaustion. He had amazing skills to solve such combinatorial or calculative problems. In fact, his major achievements were mostly after the age of 50. Tarry published a solution to the problem of finding the way out of the maze also. He was not the first one to give a systematic proof, but his approach was quite different. And today, interestingly, it is known as the depth-first search algorithm, which is widely used in computers. Macnish was another mathematician who worked upon mutually orthogonal Latin squares. He gave a lower bound or a minimum value to the number of mutually orthogonal Latin squares of any order n, which is 1 less than the smallest prime number that appears whenever n is written as a product of its prime factors. We can have a better understanding by considering the example, say the number 22. So prime factorization of 22 is 2 raised to 1 into 11 raised to 1. The smallest prime number here is 2 and 2 minus 1 or 1 less than 2 is equal to 1. So this means that the minimum number of mutually orthogonal Latin squares of order 22 is 1. Macnish guaranteed for 22 that the minimum number of mutually orthogonal Latin squares was 1. That means there's at least one Latin square of this order. He further stated that the lower bound is the same as the upper bound. Hence, the statement can be reconstructed as the number of mutually orthogonal Latin squares of order n is equal to 1 less than the smallest prime number after prime factorization of n. Now, for the same number 22, Euler's conjecture is true. We can check as the number 22 is oddly even number. That is, it is an even number first and it can be divided by 2 only once, and the quotient that we get is an odd number, that is 11. Thus, proving Macnish conjecture would prove Euler's conjecture as well. But the point to be noted here is that disproving Macnish conjecture would not necessarily disprove Euler's conjecture. Think for yourself. Now, let us move to the main part. How did R.C. Bose, S.S. Shrikhande and E.T. Parker disprove Euler's conjecture? Chapter 1. Disproving Macnish conjecture. When Macnish conjecture was published, Parker was working in a computer company. He became interested in working upon his conjecture. For the number 21, according to Macnish conjecture, the number of mutually orthogonal Latin squares should have been only 2, since the prime factorization of 21 is 3 into 7 and 3 minus 1 is equal to 2. But on the other hand, Parker found 4 mutually orthogonal Latin squares of the same order 21. He used a method called Balanced Incomplete Block Designs, that is BIBD. We'll soon be covering this topic in the further slides. Although Parker could not disprove Euler, but his results threw serious doubts on his correctness. Now, for a better understanding of BIBD, take a real-life example of testing of different fertilizers on a crop. We divide a plot into 3 columns. You can see in the following image that there are 3 columns, C1, C2 and C3. For the division of the plot, we have a reason to believe that the soil fertility is constant in a given column but varies between columns. The question now is, how does one test the effect of 3 different fertilizers on a given crop, eliminating the natural fertility variation between columns? Now, we can divide each column into 2 parts that can be considered as row 1 and row 2 in the figure, and then use 2 fertilizers in each column. We can distribute the 3 fertilizers, say F1, F2, F3, in the possible combinations of 2 in each column, as you can see here. This is a balanced incomplete block design. It is balanced because each pair of fertilizers has the same probability of occurring in this scheme. It is incomplete because in no column do we have all the 3 fertilizers used. Chapter 2. Disproving Euler's Conjecture. After Parker's discovery about McNish conjecture, Bose and Shrikhande constructed orthogonal Latin squares of order 22 by using pairwise balanced designs. In the same year, Parker proved another result, that is, a pair of orthogonal Latin squares, or say the Eulerian square of order 10. The discovery of the Eulerian squares of order 10 and 22 created more doubts about the validity of Euler's conjecture, since both the numbers 10 and 22 are congruent to 2 mod 4. Now, this is a pair of mutually orthogonal Latin squares of order 10. Here, you can see that the first element of the cell corresponds to the first Latin square and the second element corresponds to the second Latin square, and in this way, it is the superposition of the 2 orthogonal Latin squares of order 10. The symbols used here in both the Latin squares are the numbers between 0 to 9. The interesting part of this Eulerian square of order 10 is that Parker obtained it by using a UNIVAC computer, and it appeared to be the first attempt to use computers in solving such combinatorial problems. The unwinding. In the year 1960, Bose, Shrikhande and Parker proved that Euler's conjecture is false for all orders S is equal to 4t plus 2 where t is greater than 1. And the result they got can be stated as, there exists at least 2 mutually orthogonal Latin squares of side S congruent to 2 mod 4 where S is not equal to 6. And now, coupling the above 2 results, it can be stated as, there exists at least 2 mutually orthogonal Latin squares of side S greater than 2 and S not equal to 6. The trio used the same method of BIBD to prove the falsity of Euler's conjecture. So this was how it proved to be a paradigm shift from the conventional Euler's conjecture. Thanks for watching this video. If you found this content informative, hit that subscribe button, and if you have any suggestions or queries, don't forget to write in the comment section below. If you don't want to miss any of our videos, click on the bell icon to get notified every time we come up with something new. Thank you.